welcome. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Kelsey Derringer, and I am the Professional Development Coordinator for BirdBrain Technologies. So that means that I get to work with teachers and students all over the world and teach them creative robotics. But it's not just me here. As always, we have our director and producer, Matt the Robot. Hello, Matt the Robot.
Hey, Kelsey. How's it going today?
I'm great. How are you doing back there?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to answer some of the questions that will be coming in from Facebook.
That's right. We are going live on Facebook right now. So if you are watching us live on Thursday, July 15th, then you can ask questions live. If you type things into the comment section on Facebook, Matt can see those and we can bring your comments live into class, whether that's saying hello to a student that you see, telling somebody that you really like their code, etc. We can bring that in live. But it's not just me and it's not just Matt. We actually have an entire classroom full of students here. Everybody want to wave hello to Facebook? Hello, Facebook. There we are. So these are our students who are going to be doing some coding today while we do the project Robot Poetry. So we are going to use creative robotics, craft supplies, and a hummingbird to bring a poem to life. And we have another very special guest with us today. Melissa Unger is a teacher at the South Fayette School District. Hi, Melissa. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Melissa. I teach kindergarten, first and second grade STEAM at South Fayette, and I'm really excited to participate today.
Melissa, you have a lot of really valuable experience teaching STEAM to younger students and also incorporating STEAM and technology and things in lessons. I was asking you before we started, what's your biggest tip for teachers who are trying to incorporate technology in their classroom? What is it?
I think probably my biggest tip is just thinking about ways to combine the technology with the classroom content and helping students design projects and things that they're interested in based on that content.
I hope that we do that today. Let us know how we're doing, and as we go, please feel free to chime in and talk about instances you've seen like this, or especially as the students are working on coding, other ideas this gives you for the classroom too. All right. So today we are going to be diving into a poem, and the poem we're going to be diving into is Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. And we're going to take it kind of stanza by stanza here, but it's kind of a long poem. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually cut this poem up so that we can just look at it one stanza at a time. I have these comically large scissors here. Don't you wish you had scissors as big as mine? So we're going to take a look at a robot that works with the first stanza here. Then we're going to take a look at a robot that goes with the second stanza. And then as a class, we are going to figure out what we think a robot for the third stanza would look like. So we've broken it into manageable parts now. Part 1, part 2, and part 3. So let's take a look at part 1 and read this part of the poem. It says, Where the sidewalk ends. There is a place where the sidewalk ends, and before the street begins. And there the grass grows soft and white. And there the sun burns crimson bright. And there the moonbird rests from his flight to cool in the peppermint wind. So there's our first part of the poem. A stanza is like a paragraph or like a chunk of a poem. And here is our little robot. And Matt, I wonder if you could grab me a plug for this guy.
You bet.
So we can plug him in. So here's our little robot. Do you see where the sidewalk ends there? There's a little sign at the end. And what do you think is going to happen? There are a few different parts of this poem. What are your predictions? Anybody can unmute and let us know. What do you think is going to happen when we turn this on? What's going to move? What's going to light up? Anybody have a guess? I bet Xander's got a guess. What's your guess, Xander? When you look at this, what do you think is going to move or light up in this project? The sun. The sun. Xander thinks the sun is going to light up. I see a sun back there. That might work. Evelette, what else do you think is going to move or light up in this project?
Maybe the board.
Maybe the bird. Let's see. I'm going to plug it in. And then can we go back to speaker view? Here we go. Whoa. So go back here. Hold it up. I'm going to go back to that side camera there. So there's the bird moving around. There's the sun changing different colors. And can you guys tell what's happening on the top here? We thought this was really funny. I'll bring back the poem so that maybe you can tell what's happening there. I'll put this off to the side a little bit. Can you tell what part of the poem? There's something happening on top there. You got it, Evelette. Yeah, go for it.
It's a peppermint that looks like wind.
Yes, exactly. We tied an Altoid in front of a tiny cardboard fan, and we made some peppermint wind. That's part of the poem. So this is what you guys are going to get to code. And on Microbit Classroom, for everybody who's joined, we're going to share the code that this is running right now so that you can see what it's doing, and you can recode it. Because right now, I don't know that this exactly matches the poem, matches what's happening in the poem. So we just sent the code to students. Now students, would you give me a thumbs up? I'm gonna go to gallery view. Give me a thumbs up if you just got that code. Yeah? Okay. Was any, your screen should say, your teacher just sent you some code. Okay. Did anybody wave your hand in front of your screen if you did not receive some code? Okay, everybody did, great. So what we want you guys to do, and I'm gonna go look at the code that we just sent you so that you can see it and see what the students just got. You guys just got inside a forever loop, the position servo, that's controlling the bird. The bird is going back and forth from 0 to 180 degrees. And it's actually a pretty cunning little mechanism that uses a magnet to get that bird to flip around a little bit, which is pretty cool. So that's making the bird move back and forth. Inside the next forever loop, right here, the one that says try LED, you can see that it's that's changing our sun in the background. We're mixing red and green, and then we're mixing red and blue. And then over here, this is the rotation servo, the fan at the top in port 2. That's what's blowing on the peppermint to create the peppermint wind. But if we look back at our poem, how do you think that this project should move? There's a place where the sidewalk ends and before the street begins, and there the grass grows soft and white. You can see some soft white grass. And there the sun burns crimson bright. What color is crimson? You might have to Google it. What color is crimson, I wonder? Yeah, Evelette, what color is crimson? How would you describe crimson?
Crimson is a shade of red that's kind of like, okay, if you think like blood is kind of like a crimson shade.
Yeah, that's great. Crimson is a deep, dark red color. Kind of like maybe my shirt today could be crimson or maroon. Yeah. So the sun should burn crimson bright, not whatever color this is. And the moonbird should rest from his flight. And then we got to stay cool in this peppermint wind. So when anybody has some code that they want to put on our robot, wave your hand in front of your screen and let me know. But we want to make your poem or your code match this poem here. So does anybody have any questions about what you could be changing in your code or what you could be adjusting? You can, there's a few things that you could mess with. You could mess with the angles of the position servo. You could mess with the pause blocks. The pause blocks, that's telling it how long the bird should stay in each position. And right now it's set to 2 seconds or 2,000 milliseconds because there's 1,000 milliseconds in a second. You could mess with how long it's pausing or what angles it's going to. You could change the colors of the Tri LED by putting different percentages in here. putting them at 0 or setting them to 64 or whatever. You could mess with the pauses here too. And then you could also mess with the speed. It can go anywhere from -100, spinning all the way one way, to all the way the other way. You know, let's put the poem, the link to the poem, we'll find that really quick, and we'll put it in the chat. Nick had just asked, is the poem posted somewhere? It's not, but we'll put it in the chat so that you can see it as well. It's not up anywhere. You'll have to find it, Matt. So Melissa, does this remind you of any projects that you've done in the classroom? We'll let students finish coding a little bit, and then I think we have one kiddo ready.
Yeah, definitely. I think a poem is a really great way to dive into a text. And I've also done something similar where students took different stories, and each team of kids had maybe one page or one section of a page in the story and had to bring that to life. And what was really cool whenever we did it with a whole story, with a whole class of students, is we played each robot or each program one right after the other. So it was almost like we were recreating the whole book.
That is really cool. Which book did you do that with?
So one of our favorite ones, we've done Where the Wild Things Are. And that was really great because the students could bring the characters to life, and there was just so many little details they could pull out. But we've done them with all sorts of different things, everything from picture books to using more of chapter books and just pulling out the main ideas.
That's great. So everything from, you said, picture books to chapter books. So this is a project or something like it that can scale to a lot of different age groups, it sounds like.
Definitely, and it also can scale to different sizes of groups too, whether it's one student working on a page of a story or one group working on a larger section. It's really been great for that.
Nice. I think I saw a hand. Who has some code that is done at the moment that they want us to try? Xander does. All right, Xander, we are going to download your code and put it on our robot here. So Xander, what do you think this is going to do? I'm going to plug it in so that you can do that, Matt. And then Xander, I want you to make a prediction. What do you think your code is going to do? What's going to be different about it?
It's gonna make the bird go slower and make the bird not move that much, and change the color of the sun and make the fan go slower.
All right, so the fan is, so that's an interesting choice to make the fan go slower. Why did you decide to make the bird go slower, and why did you decide to make the fan go slower? Those are great choices.
I don't know.
I can bring the poem back up so you can see it again. What about this poem made you think, hey, I think that fan should go slower? Would you spotlight me again, Matt? Thank you. What made you think that the bird should slow down and that the fan should slow down?
Because because the bird is hitting everything.
The bird is whacking into everything. Ooh, I think this is your code here, Xander. So the bird is going a lot slower, and it's moving a little bit less as well, right? Yeah. And the fan's going a little bit slower as well. Is this moving and working like you thought it would?
Yeah.
Yeah? What do you like about the code that you created? What do you like about what you did?
The fan.
You like the fan? I like the fan too. I think it was a really interesting choice where it says that the moon bird rests. Do you know what it means to rest, Xander? What does that mean if you're going to take a rest?
Take a break.
Take a break. Yeah. So that bird was moving all over the place and being crazy, and now it looks like it's resting a little bit more. That's nice. Yeah. Nice job, Xander. Let's go to gallery view. Let's give Xander a round of applause. Nice job, Xander. Great coding. Great coding. Who else has some code that they'd like us to try on our robot? You got some, Achuta? All right, Achuta, we're going to put yours on next. Oh, go ahead. What do you think your code is going to do? I'll put the poem up next to the robot here. What do you think it's going to do?
I think the fan will go faster
Okay.
And there will be more or less lights, but I don't know what's gonna happen to the bird.
Ooh, this will be fun. It's great to try a code and say, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to find out. So what do you think the light is going to do? What colors do you think it's going to be?
I also added some blue.
Ooh, that sounds nice. What is the color blue? This is a really weird question, Achuta, but what does the color blue make you feel?
Sometimes it makes me feel I'm near a lake.
Oh. How does being near a lake make you feel?
Like warm and happy for the things living in it.
That's wonderful. All right, we're about to download it. Pause for now. There we go. And here it comes, Achuta. We're downloading now. And so you said the color blue makes you feel warm and happy, like you're near a lake. How does this poem make you feel? When you hear about the crimson sky and the bird taking a rest in the snow white grass, does that make you feel like you're like a lake at all?
A little.
A little? I like that. Maybe that like warm and calm feeling. Maybe this poem makes you feel that too.
Is it still downloading?
It is. We're having some issues on the back end here. It looks like...
Having a weird download issue.
Yeah, this is very strange. Sorry, Achuta. Thank you so much for your patience.
Being a very patient kid. Let me ask anybody in this while we're downloading. We've got our poem up here. What is the image in this poem that's sticking with you the most? Is it the soft white grass? Is it the crimson bright sky? Is it the moon bird? The place that the sidewalk ends? What image do you see in your head that's just sticking in your head? Can I call on you for that, Mira? What image is sticking in your head, Mira?
Ah.
I'm sorry there, my mic pack turned off for a second there. I was asking what images in this poem like really stick in your head or really sticking with you? Is it the soft white grass? Is it the crimson bright sky? Is it the hummingbird, the peppermint wind? What images in this are you just... my mic pack died again.
Yep.
I'm going to change my batteries really quick. I'm going to change my batteries. That might help. All right, I'm back. Can you hear me now? Great, thanks. My batteries died in my mic pack. Oh no. All right, so Achuta, you know what we did? We did download your code, but it's not running much. The sky back there, is doing something really subtle. But let's take a look at the code and see why none of the motors are moving. All right. So I'm going to make myself big here for me again. So a couple of the things you changed the position servo to 3. And what we didn't show you before, but what I think will help you understand what's happening here, is we've got this hummingbird plugged in here at the top. And it's only plugged in, I'll focus it here, the bird is only plugged into port 1, and the rotation servo is only plugged into port 2. So when you changed those numbers on there, on your code, to position servo in port 3, there's not a motor in port 3. And when you change it to position servo in port 4, there's not a motor in port 4. So let's fix it together. What should I change? The position servo is the bird. What number should I put in there? Do you remember?
Maybe 2?
2 was the fan at the front here. The bird was in 1. So I'm going to change this one to 1. Here we go. 1.
And while Kelsey's changing that, Achuta, I just want to make it very clear that we didn't explain any of this in this webinar so far. So there's no way for you to know this.
You wouldn't have known that at all.
Yeah. But and I really applaud you for experimenting.
Yeah.
Allowing us to show this to everybody.
Oh, that's great experimenting. And so the rotation servo is plugged into port 2. So I'm going to change this one to 2, and then we're going to download it again, and now you'll see your code actually work on the bird and the fan. All right, so I'll come back here while Matt's downloading. There we go. But we can see the light in the back there. Can you see it changing ever so slightly? It's actually downloading now. It takes about 3-5 seconds to download. Here we go. Ooh, there's the fan. Moving real fast. Look at your bird. Can you describe how that bird is moving, Achyuta?
It's moving back and forth really quickly.
It is.
Like,
yeah. You're acting it out. That's nice. I like that. Do you like how it looks? What's your favorite part about your code?
the bird.
Bird. I like the bird. He's like hanging out. He's great. I love this photo. This is cool. And I love that like cool blue color in the background too, especially when you told us about how that being near a lake makes you feel. That's awesome. Let's see. I think we have time for one more person's code on this robot, and then we've got another robot for the second stanza. Mira, did you have some code for this robot too that you wanted us to try?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. We'll download your code on here. So I'm going to let it run with Achyuta's code for now, and while we're downloading it, Mira, sorry, Matt, what do you think your code is going to look like? What's the bird going to do? What's the fan going to do? What's the light going to do?
I think the bird is going to be sitting in the grass.
Okay.
And I think the sun will be red.
It's downloading. Here it comes. All right. Look at that crimson sun. And look at that bird. You're right. What angle did you set the position servo to for the bird?
I think I set it to 0.
You did. You set it to 0 here. So you just let it sit there at 0 because in the poem, the bird is resting. So this is the most resting bird we've seen all day. This bird is really resting it up over here with that crimson sun in the background. And oh, can you feel the peppermint wind coming at you? It's so cool and refreshing. That's great. What's your favorite part about your code, Mira? What do you like the most?
I think I like the bird.
With the bird just resting. It's very peaceful. I think this first stanza of the poem here, it's very peaceful, soft, bright, rest. Peppermint wind means that it's nice and cool. This first stanza, this first part of the poem is just, to me it feels just like Achyuta was saying, like very peaceful and sunny and calm. And that all changes when we go to the second stanza of the poem. So check this out, everybody. We're going to switch over and read this second stanza of the poem. So the second stanza says, "Let us leave this place where the smoke blows black and the dark street winds and bends, past the pits where the asphalt flowers grow. We shall walk with a walk that's measured and slow, and watch where the chalk white arrows go to the place where the sidewalk ends." So here is the project that we made to go with this one. I'll switch it over. And this one, we don't have any code working on this one yet, I don't think. Did we download code onto this one, Matt?
I do not believe we did.
I don't think so. So this one needs your code to come to life. But you see the black smoke blowing across the sky. There's the street winding and bending. And this city is just, oh, it's so full and busy and noisy, I bet. And there's this arrow that can move. So in your code, we're not going to send you any new code because you have all the code you need. But now we need the position servo 1, that's going to control this arrow over here. So how do you think that arrow should move? Put some code in there for the arrow. And then the sky in the background, that's the tri-LED. So what color do you think the sky would be in this busy, noisy, smoky city? This kind of looks like Pittsburgh, my city, because there's smokestacks all over Pittsburgh. So you decide what you think this code should look like. And I'll hold this guy up here too so you can see it. So those, remember the tri-LED is going to control the sky, and the position servo is going to control this motor here, like this. And then that rotation servo, that one, that won't do anything because we don't have anything plugged into servo port 2 for this robot. So that won't do anything here. So you can throw that away if you want. You could drag it back over here and toss it, or you could keep it either way. So while you guys are working, Melissa, you had also talked about another project that you did with younger students where they were reading the Flat Stanley book. Can you tell us a little bit about that project?
Yeah, so my second grade students, we did something similar where we were using the hummingbirds, and in their reading classroom, they read The Adventures of Flat Stanley. So we wanted to create sort of a cross-curricular project, combining a whole bunch of different subject areas. We had the school librarian, the art teacher, students came into the STEAM lab and worked, but what students created was a Flat Stanley robot based on the story, but also incorporating research about different countries, because in the story, The Adventures of Flat Stanley, he travels all over the globe. So what students did was each homeroom was assigned a country, and they researched the country and took some information from the story as well, but then created Flat Stanley robots that when they were programmed, the servos would move, they would light up, but they would also talk and share the research that the students learned.
That is so wonderful. So the research that they were doing, was that about the different countries?
Yeah, so a lot of it was focused on each class. Again, they chose a country, but then animals in that country, food, popular sports, things that would be of interest to 7 and 8-year-olds. So one of the ways that we did this was by connecting with teachers and classrooms in the other countries, where the students could pose some of their own questions and then get answers back from fellow 7 and 8-year-olds as part of their research.
Wow, that is amazing. So they were also communicating with students in those different countries as part of their research. Oh my gosh, that is so cool. So what did the final project that they made look like? Was it one robot and they all coded like different sides of it? Can you describe it for us?
Yeah, so there was 12 homerooms of second grade students. Wow. So it was one Hummingbird robot per classroom, and teams were split up into groups about 6 or 7 to create different sides of the robot. So if you picture sort of a box with a head on it, each side of the box had to talk about an important place or thing that they discovered, and then also incorporate the motors, the servos, the lights to add some movement and some information to it. But then ultimately what we did was we ended up with 12 different robots, each focused on a different country. So the students had a robotic showcase where they kind of got to travel around the globe in an afternoon and learn about 12 different countries and see everyone's work.
And they got to create that. So it wasn't just like watching a video, right? They participated in the creation of it. And then they had made something so that when they saw in other classes, they were like, oh, I bet they used a position servo. Ooh, I bet they used a single LED, right? I don't know if little kids get excited about that, but I do.
Right, and we used sort of like a template to program it, but then each team had the opportunity to customize it and decide how they want their lights and the servos and everything.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. I can't wait to talk with you more about that tomorrow during our teacher talks version of robot poetry, and I'm sure a lot of teachers will have questions for you about that project. Let me check in with our students here. If we go to gallery view, will you guys wave your hand if you've got some code that you want to put on this robot? Does anybody have some? Achuta does. All right, Achuta, let's do it. And Evelette, I really want to put some of yours on there too. All right, because you didn't get to put some on the first one. So I want to come to you next if you're ready. All right, so Achuta, you're up first. We're gonna put.
And I just wanted to share that Mrs. Unger, you were my STEAM teacher last year.
I know, and you got to participate in our STEAM class with.
Yeah, we did the robot last year.
Yeah, so do you want to talk? Do you remember doing the project?
No, I don't remember it, but I remember we did do it.
Okay, great.
Do you remember how you felt about it? Did you like doing that robot project? Do you remember that much?
Well, I'm not actually really sure if we did it or not, but I remember seeing some in the STEAM room.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think because of the school closures and everything, but we were right at the beginning of the project for this year.
Right in the thick of things when things changed drastically, right? Well, Achyuta, we're working on downloading your program now. And I'm going to put this in here. So we've got power. There we go. Now we're downloading. And I'll switch over here. And if you want to spotlight us again, Matt, or there we go. All right. So I think it's on there. Ooh, look at there.
Well, that was a mechanical issue there.
That is so. Tell us about the angles that you put in there. See where your arrow is pointing here, Achyuta? It's pointing straight up the hill, which is probably where you want to go. Get out of Dodge, you know. Tell us, what angles did you put in? Can you see your code and tell us? For that position servo 1, what angles did you put in there?
On those 4 numbers they give you, I put 1 and I put 86 degrees.
Okay.
On the second one, I also put 1 and I put 73 on this one.
All right. So 86 and 73. If you're coding at home too, 86 and 73 looks like this. It kind of points it up the hill there. There we go. And then your color, I'm actually going to use my poem to kind of block the light a little bit because the color is really pretty. It's just bright in here, so it's kind of hard to see. So I'm going to make it kind of dark for a second. Can anybody see what color Achyuta put in the background there? It's a little dim. There we go. Ooh, look at that. Oh, look at that, Achyuta. Do you see your color that you put back there? What color is that?
Blue. It looks like night now.
Yeah, whoa, that looks so cool. In that dark, smoky sky with the blue light behind it. Oh my gosh, that looks awesome. What's your favorite part about your code? There's just 2 parts, but what's your favorite part about your code?
I think it's the sign. It points like upward, so you're going like up the sky or maybe.
Yeah. Where should I go? Up, always up. I like that. Very inspiring. Let's go to gallery view really quick and give him a round of applause. Nice job, Achyuta. Great coding. Evelette, do you have some code you want to try out?
Okay.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna. Yeah? All right. So when you were this part of the poem is a little bit kind of challenging because it doesn't actually have that much color in it. So what color did you make your tri-LED turn? What colors is it going to be?
Red and blue.
Red and blue. What made you choose red and blue? How do, like, when red and blue go on, what made you choose those?
I don't know. They're both dark colors and it's looks dark over this.
All right. So they strike.
They just chose 2 colors.
That's all right too. We can just kind of. Achyuta did that with his code last time. He was like, I don't know what the bird's gonna do, but let's find out. So we'll see what that looks like.
I have no clue what's going to happen. I just did stuff.
I love it. Let's download it and let's see what happens. And then we'll take a look at the code. We didn't take a look at Achyuta's, but we'll download it and we'll see what happens, and then we'll take a look at the code. And we'll kind of watch the motor first, and then when we see what the motor does, then we'll dim it and we'll see what the lights do. All right. Will you speaker view us, Matt? Thanks. There we go. All right, so there's your motor. Ooh. Your motor just kind of jumps a little bit. Ooh. Interesting. So it just kind of wiggles the littlest bit. Does that move like you thought it would?
I have no clue. I just did stuff.
I didn't know what it would look like. I didn't think it'd look like that though. And if we dim our light again, you can see what color you chose in the background there. If we dim the light, we can see there's like red and blue. What colors do red and blue make when you put them together?
Purple?
Yeah. There's that like indigo purpley sky back there. That's pretty cool. Let's take a look at your code and figure out why that motor is jumping like that, because that's a really interesting motion in that code. So in your code, I'll zoom out here a little bit. So we've got position servo 1. It should be going from 140 degrees to 80 degrees with a second pause and then another half-second pause. But there's one other thing that I think you changed in here. You made it Hummingbird rotation servo 1. That's the port that it's in. And position servo is already in that port. So we should just get rid of this block here because there's no rotation servo in our project. So I'm going to throw this part away, okay, Evelyn? Does that make sense why? And that's part of why it's making it jump around here, because it's sort of like you're telling port 1, where the position servo is plugged in, you're telling it two different things to do. You're saying do this, but also do this at the same time. And I don't know about you, but when somebody tells me to do two things at once, I kind of freeze. And that's what's happening here as well. It's reacting kind of like a person would, but exactly like a robot would. So we're going to re-download this code now, now that we took that part out, and then we'll see how those angles look. All right. Count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here comes the code. There we go. That's cool. So 140, and then what was the other angle? 140, and can you tell me, Evelette?
80.
80, yeah. That really looks like it's pointing up the hill, to be honest with you. It looks like it's pointing right up at the middle there. That's great. And then the tri-LED, did you think that the tricolor LED, did you think it would change colors, or did you think it would just stay as one color?
Change colors.
Do you see it changing colors back there, or is it just staying one color?
Just stay in one color.
Yeah.
But
Let's
it's a
figure
cool
out why.
color.
Say again?
It is a cool color.
It is a cool color. I really like that. That
It like fits the scene.
It fits the scene really nicely. That like dark, deep purple. What does that dark, deep purple sky make you feel, Evelette?
Like I want to get out of there as soon as I can.
Like, doesn't it feel good, Kelsey? I'm here to tell you that. You feel like you want to get out of there. Well, let's take a look at that part of the code real quick, and we'll see why was that tri-LED not changing colors. And it has to do with the fact that we split it up into two different parts here. So it's, again, because it's in two different forever loops are trying to control the same part, the same tri-LED, it's getting conflicting information. So what do you think we should do to fix it so that it changes colors, Evelette?
Get rid of this one.
Yeah. We could get rid of that one, or we could just drag this one back over. What do you want to do? Do you want to, or we could drag this one over here. They just all kind of have to be in the same forever loop.
Just like drag that one over here.
Drag the single block over here?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. And then we'll also need to make sure, actually we don't need to put another pause block in there, so this will work just fine. Let's try it out. We're going to download it again, and now we're going to see if we can make that color change a little bit in the background. It should be very, very mysterious. Let's see. We'll make it dark so we can really see that color change again. Turn this light all the way off so we've got a very mysterious city. Ooh. There we are. Ooh, do you see it changing color now?
Mm-hmm.
So there's that dark purpley blue, and then it kind of goes to describe that color. What's that color, do you think?
It kind of looks like a "Don't come here." Bad things happen.
Looks very forbidding or
Yeah.
something. Would you describe that as a green, a yellow, a red? What's that color that
Red.
a red, a dark red?
It's
Let's
kind
look
of
at
like this.
say again.
It's kind of like my top, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll bring our lights back up here. And then we can see that in the code too, that the tri-LED goes from mostly, so it's 98 red, so it can go up to 100, so it goes red, and then it goes red and blue for that purple color. So it's flashing that, and it's a dark red because it's a dark little scene back there. Let's go to gallery view. Evelette, let's give Evelette a round of applause. Nice coding, Evelette. Very nice. Did anybody else have some code that they wanted to try putting on there? On this one? Did you have one, Xander? All right. We'll do Xander's really quick. And as we're doing Xander's, though, I have a question for all of us. So we're going to do Xander's, but I want us to think of, and I wonder if y'all have like a paper and a pencil or a pen or something nearby, because I want you guys, there's a third stanza, and we did not make a robot for this one because we want you guys to design what would your little cube look like. So while we're downloading Xander's code, let me read the third stanza for you. Remember, the first stanza, the first part, was about the snowy white grass and the bird was resting and the sky is crimson and bright and oh, it was so restful. There's that, ooh, that peppermint wind. And the second stanza was this like, it's dark and, oh, I hear something, Xander. But let me pause this for just a moment because I want to read this third stanza for just a second, and then we'll look at your code, okay, Xander? So if we go to speaker view, here's the third stanza. It's really short. It says, yes, we'll walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and we'll go where the chalk-white arrows go, for the children they mark, and the children they know, the place where the sidewalk ends. So if you've got a pencil or a pen and some paper, you can draw what your little cube would look like for this third stanza. I'll show you what I drew for the second one. I actually went through a couple versions, so your drawing doesn't have to look just like it would look. Well, I'll back up a little bit so you can see it. So there's one version of my drawing. I didn't like that one, so I ended up going with this one, the little city. I made the second stanza poem there. So draw your square, what you think your square would look like. I'll read that stanza one more time so you can know what to base it on. Yes, we'll walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and we'll go where the chalk-white arrows go, for the children they mark, and the children they know, the place where the sidewalk ends. And in this one, it might be worth pointing out that this word mark, mark can mean to like draw on something, but mark can also mean to notice something. So it could mean that the children they notice and the children they know, or it could mean that they mark on something. So you decide what that means. Is your poem, do your thing. Make your design, draw something out. And all right, and while you do that, we'll take a look at Xander's project here. I want to see what you coded, Xander. Let me give it power. Here we go. Ooh, look at those colors back there. Can you guys hear it? I'll bring my microphone really close so you can hear it. Tell us about that sound, Xander. What does that sound like to you? Why'd you make it sound like that?
Because I like that sound.
Because you liked that sound? I like that sound too. Let's look at your code and see how you did that. I'm interested. Oops, that's not your code. This is your code. So you had the servo going from 90 to 180 with only 100 milliseconds, so a tenth of a second. That's why it was wiggling back and forth so fast. And then you had your tri-LED, and you put it all the way up to 255. It only goes up to 100, so it stops at 100% because it's a percentage, not the color value. But
if you were coding on an Arduino, 255 would be absolutely correct.
You got it. So Arduinos go on that 255 scale, and other LEDs and lights do too, right?
Yes, other programming languages, yes.
So it's going red and green, which is yellow, and then red, and then what's this one here? Blue and red and green. Oh, so it's just like it's going a bunch of different colors. Look at all those color blocks you added in there. And then here's your music block. Play the melody, and that's what this melody sounds like. If I go to the simulator here, I think it'll do it. Maybe? No, it won't. But we heard that melody from the hummingbird, that I like that melody because it goes down, and this project to me, this project, that road, it goes up, but I suppose if you turned around, it would go down. So like that melody moves like this road moves back here, and I'll plug it back in so we can see it and hear it again. That motor wiggling is really funny. What's your favorite part of your code, Xander? Do you like the music or the light or the motor?
The music.
The music? I like the music too. That's great. Well, let's go to gallery view, and this was not very much time, so if you don't have a drawing, that's okay. But Achyuta, you had a question. What's your question or comment?
Can you reread the third stanza?
Absolutely. What a great question. I'll hold it up again so you can see it. Yes, we'll walk with a walk that is measured and slow, and we'll go where the chalk-white arrows go. For the children they mark, and the children they know, the place where the sidewalk ends. Does that help?
Thanks.
You're welcome. I'm really excited to see what you're drawing, Achyuta. Can't wait to see it. Well, we've just got about 6 or so minutes for the end of our webinar. So I'm going to give our learners some time to draw what they think the third stanza would look like. Mira, did you have some code for this robot that you wanted us to try out? Did you have some code you wanted us to try, Mira? Mira might be working still. So,
No.
Nope, not for this one. Sounds good. Or anybody else? We had some adults on the coding as well. Did we have any adults who wanted to try their code out on this here robot or on the first one? You can wave your hand in front of your screen if so.
Sorry, what do you call it?
We're putting that poem a couple different places as well. So let me check in with Melissa. You had so you've taught so many STEAM and STEM lessons with students, and you talked about the flat Stanley one, and you talked about where the wild things are. Something I noticed our students doing today is that they were going back to the poem to figure out how to make this thing move and how to make it how to make it light up and what color it should be. How have you seen students like engaging with content with creative robotics? It's a really open-ended question, but.
Well, I think what we saw today too, I think it was Achyuta who made his bird and said, well, I'm not really sure how it'll move, but I'm ready to see. So you don't necessarily know. You need to be willing to try something new and experiment. So I think bringing it back to like the curriculum when you're doing it with the students is really giving them that opportunity and some extra time to experiment in order to figure out, maybe they don't know right from the beginning what they want to do with the project, but give them time to figure out how everything works and then try to solve that problem.
It sounds like you were also really encouraging that like entrepreneurial spirit in students of just like, don't know how it's going to work, but we're just going to try it out and kind of learn something in the process.
And I think so often like that's really where the creativity takes place and the magic kind of happens. So I'm always so excited when the students are able to figure out something that we didn't explicitly tell them, or they're able to create something new or combine different elements that we hadn't thought of.
I saw that so much today with that, like with a lot of what you guys coded. Even Mira's like just making the bird sort of stay on the grass. It rests, right? And where should it rest? Probably not in the sky, but resting on the grass. That was so creative, Mira. I would not have thought of that. That was great. And how do you see students when they're doing creative robotics? How do you see them like engaging in the content? So like the students who were needing to design a robot that communicated something about another place in the world, how did them in doing that with a robot rather than like writing an essay or drawing a picture, how did that affect how they engaged with that content?
I think in a lot of ways it actually helps to deepen their interest and their excitement in that content. Because giving them the hands-on opportunities with the robotics and combining it with information that they've gathered for that project is an exciting way for them to share what they've learned. And it's also, I think, for them, a really exciting way to see what their classmates have learned. When we do like our robotics showcase and things with my students, they're really proud to show off their work. But I think even more than that, they're really excited to see what their classmates are doing. And they tend to retain a lot of the information after going through the showcase or going through the project. That's always really exciting to see.
Seems like a really authentic way for students to engage with each other's learning as well.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, let me check in with our students. Does anybody have a drawing of what they think the third stanza should look like that they want to show? Mira, you do. Do you want to hold yours up to the camera? We're going to come spotlight you. I want to see what you think the third stanza should look like. And then do you want to unmute and tell us about it? Tell us what's happening in there? Yeah, right up close to the camera. Yeah.
There's a person walking down the path, and there's an arrow that says end.
That's great. Tell me about those people. What can you tell me about those people who are walking the path?
So the person's just walking down the path, and those are supposed to be the children that you know.
The children that know things. This is a question that I don't know the answer to, Mira, but what do you think the children know? This poem doesn't exactly tell us. What do you think the children know?
Maybe they know that that's the path to the end of the sidewalk.
That's really interesting, Mira. I love your drawing. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Is there anything else you want to say about it? About your idea?
I don't think so.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mira. I love that. What do the children know? They know the path. They know the way to the end of the sidewalk. That's interesting. Achyuta, did you have one you wanted to share too?
Okay, I'll share mine.
Ooh. Tell us about it. Tell us what you drew.
So first, there's a boy. You see a guy?
I do.
Who's saying, it ends there. He sees the board and can tell that it ends, but the guy can't see it, and he's saying thanks because he can tell that the sidewalk ends there because the kid told him. And there's a sidewalk with arrows on it.
And it says ends, and then what does it say underneath? Can you read that part for us?
Go back.
Go back. So I have a question. Where the sidewalk ends, is that a good place or a bad place? Do we want to go where the sidewalk ends, or should we avoid where the sidewalk ends? What do you think?
I guess we should go there, but we should still be careful not to fall off the edge or something, or to go onto the street.
That's very deep, Achyuta. We should go there, we should visit, but we should be careful not to fall off the edge. That's really nice. Thank you so much for sharing, Achyuta. Is there anything else you want to say about your drawing?
And did I tell you that the board over there is invisible to older humans, but children can see it? So they can tell where it ends.
Yeah. So the board is, the arrows are only visible to the children. That's why the guy doesn't know that it ends there. The children are the only ones who can see it.
And also the board can still be touched, so you have to also be careful not to bang into it.
You got to be very careful. You got to have kids around to be like, bro, there's a board in front of your face. You're about to run into it, okay? That's great.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have a drawing that they want to show off and tell us about for that third stanza that they want to show? We'll go to gallery view so we can see everybody. Anybody else have one? Nick has one. What do you got, Nick? Tell us about what you drew.
Myself here. Okay, so here we have, this is nowhere near as good as the last gentleman's one. His was a one. We just have a person. I'm thinking more about using the servos and things, right? So this person, his legs move with the position servo, and he can be walking slowly as his legs go backwards and forwards. And then the arrows going down the road, I have these arrows on a wheel attached to the rotating servo. So the arrows are moving down the road. And then you just see the top of the wheel as the arrows are moving slowly down. Okay. So that's about it.
That is wonderful. That's great, Nick. Thank you so much for sharing. So let me share just a little bit more information with everybody now that we've ended. But I want to say just a huge thank you to our coders and drawers and makers and learners and poet understanders today. That's a job. I was an English major in school. I'm pretty sure it's a job. But just let's all do me a favor, everybody. Everybody stick your hand out in front of you like this. Stick your hand out, stick your hand out. Give yourselves a pat on the back. That was some great coding. Great learning, everybody. Nice job. That was great. A huge thank you to Melissa Unger for joining us today. You are such a content expert, and I'm so privileged to know you, and thank you so much for sharing your ideas and thoughts with us today.
Thanks for having me participate.
Yeah, South Bay is always doing such amazing things with STEM, STEAM, technology, integrating that into core content subject areas. So I'm just so glad to partner with you guys.
Thank you.
A little bit of information for folks so that you can find out more about us and join in more webinars. Be sure to follow us on social media. We always go live on Facebook, and then we post the videos on YouTube afterwards. So you can like and subscribe to our YouTube videos as well if you want to stay up to date on all the webinars we're doing. If you have any questions about anything, you can always email us, info@birdbraintechnologies.com. And this site here, birdbraintechnologies.com, is our basic website, but the Robotics at Home page, that has all of our upcoming webinars, all of our resources to support parents, teachers, and kids who are learning from home. So there is a place to purchase a hummingbird if you want to have one at home so that you can make your own poetry robots. There are some resources to teach you how to program it. And there's also a page on there, even if you don't have a hummingbird, we have some pre-made robots that you can log in and program those at any time. We have them on video. There's a dragon, a gnome, some little bots like Matt back there. Whoops, he's out of focus. He's blocked. There's some little bots like him, and then there's also a cityscape that kind of looks a little bit like Pittsburgh to me. That you can program as well, but that is all on our Robotics at Home site. So we are going to be taking the next, we've got one more webinar this week, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. So if you're joining from Central or West Coast, you might TiVo us or wake up early and you can wear PJs, it's okay. But it'll be 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow, and it's going to be the Teacher Talks version of robot poetry today. So we'll have Melissa back. We'll have quite a few other teachers there as well, and we're going to be talking about teaching poetry through creative robotics and teaching ELA and what the advantages of this are. So you'll get to hear from Melissa some more about that. As well as checking in with some other projects and stuff on our website, finding all the resources that we have at birdbraintechnologies.com that pertain to robots and ELA. We are going to, after this week, we're going to be taking a couple weeks off to reset some things, to make some plans for the fall. But starting up in August again, we're going to continue doing webinars every week or perhaps every other week. But stay tuned to this Robotics at Home page over the next couple weeks as we figure out our webinars. I think our next one that's on there is August 7th. So stay tuned to this website to find that out. So we're going to end our stream here, but if you're on Zoom, you can hang out if you have any other questions or comments that you want to make. But to all of you watching on Facebook or in the future on YouTube, thanks for joining us today. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us today. We can't wait to see what you make on social media. On Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, you can tag @BirdBrainTech or #HummingbirdKit, or you can even tag me. If you have any questions, be sure to email us, info@birdbraintechnologies.com. We can answer questions about purchasing, about learning, about teaching, and about professional development. If you haven't been there yet, be sure to visit our Robotics at Home page. There you can purchase a kit for yourself, learn how to use it, and even join one of our upcoming webinars. Until we see you in class, thanks for watching from everyone at BirdBrain Technologies.